Welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network. Tonight, we're still talking about this right here. Except we're going to focus on this station right here tonight. And we got some other stuff going on. So, it'll be a fun night. It'll be a good night. Anybody ever heard of this place called Patriot Patch Company? Anybody?
Never heard of it.
Bueller. So there's a rumor they make patches, morale patches. So, like this one from last month, Colonial Pocket Dump, and I don't know where the other one went because the dang kids have been at the computer again. But now it's a solved problem because I took the one with the noisy fan and set it up in their room. So they will leave my computer alone. Anyway, so I do have the rough sketch. And so the rough sketch, where'd it go? Dang it. Good grief, I'm losing my mind. Just had it, and now I don't. I give up. Anyway, patriotpatch.co, you'll see the... Oh, it's right in front of me. Good thing I wish you a snake. So this is Ryan's drawing of... Pay attention. There we go.
That felt like you actually slapped me in the forehead. God!
That was awesome. All right, so this is Ryan Cross's rough sketch of the patch. And you can see they got talked to by the FBI. So they're participating in trying to promote boating safety. So there isn't so many boating accidents. Good luck with that. Let me know how it goes for you. All right. You definitely got to see the real patch. It's awesome. It's colorful. It's amazing. And it's on a hat in there. So, but, it's a great thing. And they've got all sorts of other patches. I just happen to have a couple examples here. I'm sure most people like this view better. Agreed? Should I just podcast like this for the rest of the night? Anyway, so that is just a selection of what Jake and Ryan have been doing over there. So pretty awesome work, pretty amazing work. And then there's Sean and the gang over at Firearms Radio. So they give us a place to host this shenanigan-filled goof fest, also known as the Reloading Podcast, where we guarantee you might learn something sometime. Maybe. Unfortunately, it's not a money-back guarantee, so it's a politician's guarantee. So
you get what you pay for.
Huh? You get what you pay for? No, we don't want to say that. We get patrons that actually give us money. Stop that. Kel said a little to the left, and I thought he meant his left, not my left. And so, yeah. Nobody wants to look at me anyway. They want to look at the Dillon. See? Look at the Dillon. Ooh, it's the Dillon.
It's not green enough.
That's over on the floor.
You haven't seen the green progressive machine.
Well, which green are you referring to? Are you referring to this green?
Yes.
That'll do.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You got some green. You're not and here's some red. Earthquake. Just because it drives.
I see white. I see white.
So. All right. Now that I've gotten everybody car sick for this fun ride, let's carry on. What's everybody done? Jason, you're muted, so I'm going to start with you.
Nothing. Next.
Well, since we're on the nothing train, Jim?
Well, y'all could kiss my... Oh, never mind. That's right. We keep history rated. I forgot to mention last week that a very generous listener sent me a Timney trigger from my Mossberg MVP. I forgot to mention that, and I want to thank him. I'm
Wow.
not going to mention his name, of course, to respect his privacy, but he knows who he is, and he'll hear it. Thank you, sir. Then, anyway, last weekend, Saturday, Sunday, got some new neighbors that live not too far from me, and they came in from Arizona, and for one of the first things the guy wanted to do was whip out a couple 700s and show them to me. They're both matched, one except for the caliber. They're both identical, serial number and caliber. And one's in 308 and one's in 223. They're both black. They're both synthetic stock. They're both excellent rifles. One's got a better trigger than the other. And he also had a absolutely screaming cherry Mosin Nagant. Can you imagine? A Mosin Nagant. Can you imagine? Cherry.
Thing.
Yeah, it's like I can't believe that thing was better than most new rifles out in the gun store. I don't think it was sporterized. I believe that's the way it came. Had a fixed spike bayonet. But anyway, then well, as always, like Travis said last week, I say that I do things behind the scenes. Well, I do things to support 2A. Well, a lot of my work is behind the scenes that nobody sees except the admins. Jason and Mike and Phil can vouch for that. And even then, a lot of times I don't have to do a whole lot because, the admin team is so well trained and so superb that very seldom do I have to lift a finger. And it's like, sometimes I think they think I take them for granted. Well, try not to. Anyway, so then I guess what Jim finally did, worked on some shelving in his reloading shed yesterday. And I finished it this afternoon. Took me a couple hours. I worked a couple hours after I got off work. And then I put photos at the bottom of the show notes, like Mike suggested, in case anybody's interested. And I'm thinking about taking that other big old document down that I have up from my other reloading room up in Pennsylvania. It doesn't exist anymore. Phil, you're up next.
I trimmed a ton of 5.56 brass. Like, finally making peace with the world's finest trimmer I borrowed from my old man. And I've been trimming brass at a rate I have not been able to trim brass before. So I'm either going to have to permanently borrow this one, and he'll just have to cope, or I'm gonna have to find one because I can't go back to trimming 500 pieces of brass at a time on a Lyman hand power trimmer.
I do believe Carl said you had to pay for the trimmer.
Yeah, well, we'll work out some kind of deal. He needs his house pressure washed, and I have the pressure washer. And that's not custody's 9/10 of the law type thing. That's like I own it. And I also own the strong arms and the strong 35-year-old back that's capable of pressure washing his house. So I'm pretty sure we can work out some kind of a deal.
Carl, just remember, there's nobody cooks like Mom. And when Mom puts a little bit too much salt in Phil's food, that's called payback, Carl.
Yeah, except I do most of my own cooking these days.
I'm talking about your mother's cooking.
I don't eat my mother's cooking that often.
Anyway.
As a father, Phil, I can say he housed you and he fed you and he didn't kill you when you desperately needed killing.
That is all true, Jason. And I'll tell you what else. I moved out of his house, so I paid that bill in full.
Not yet, you haven't. Not yet, you haven't.
Oh, wait. Okay, I moved out. I got my own health insurance. I stopped asking him for money to pay my bills, and I had a grandchild. The bill's paid in full now.
We're still on your side, Carl.
Yeah, you bunch of
you're all right.
On his side.
Ungrateful punk kids.
I'm just giving the old man a hard time. But no, he's already been chomping at the bit about what to buy next for his Dillon. It's like he got the Barbie playhouse, and now he's got to fill it with every little accessory known to man. It's kind of cool.
So you learn to trim brass at 500 an hour, are you?
Honestly, I mean, it's impressively quick, and measuring several pieces of brass, I'm really surprised at how I'm surprised at how consistent it is, because I'd always assumed that if you were measuring off the shoulder, you'd get some variance if the shoulder didn't bump back all the way, or if like your brass was a little thinner or a little thicker, that might change the spring back of the brass. But it's been pretty consistent. I mean, I'll trim a batch and check, like every fifth one, and I'm getting a variance of maybe like 0.02 of an inch. I can't really be upset with that.
Well, if you're getting variance and you're doing something wrong with your full length resizing.
Yeah, it's certainly a possibility. I mean, I've got my full length. I'm using a small base die because I cycle so much brass through this rifle. I bring new brass in as fast as I use it. So if it splits after a couple uses, I'm not that upset about it. But it's set up to cam over just like our CBS's directions mandate. About the only thing I can think of is because I'm mixing so much different range brass, I'm thinking the difference in wall thickness might be causing a little bit of a different spring back of the shoulder. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because I'm not. This isn't my 308 where I'm trying to shoot a half minute. I'm sweeping up every nasty little piece of range brass I can find, and it all goes in and it all goes out.
How about you, Travis? What did you do last week?
Oh, a lot. I think I loaded up for my buddy. He came over. We loaded up a couple hundred rounds for his 22 250. Couple, maybe 600 rounds for his 9. Shot a 3-gun competition Saturday. Sunday, casted up a bunch of projectiles for off my NOE mold, some 9mm. What'd you do, Mike?
Loaded up 25 shot shells, and that's about all I had time for. Other than that, I didn't really do much. I didn't want to load up any 9 because I wanted to leave that set so we could do the stuff for this week. That's about it reloading wise, other than, posting shows when Mark was able to get a chance to edit them. So I've got one more to post, which I'll post tomorrow since I posted the last one Sunday. So give it a couple days in between. And then, so starting next week, we'll be back on the normal Sunday night schedule of releasing. So that's about it. Not much for me. Oh, I take that back. We did get into a discussion, was it Sunday night? About Matt from Geeks, Gadgets, and Guns had a lovely catastrophic failure. Well, I wouldn't say catastrophic, but had a lovely failure to eject fully in the middle of his 3-gun match on Saturday or Sunday, and had a 223 case split apart. Part of it stayed in, and then the firearm doing what it was supposed to do, slammed the next round right into what was left of the front of the case. So they had to, luckily he was able to transition to his handgun and take down the rest of the targets for that stage. And then, being it's a competition, the people in charge of such things cleared the malfunction and got his rifle back up and running. He has the bottom part, or the back part, whatever you want to call it, of the case. He does not have the neck and shoulder part. He just has the rim and base part. And it wasn't a smooth break. It didn't look like an incipient head case separation. It didn't. This is the only malfunction he's ever had in this firearm, and he's got somewhere in the neighborhood of 20,000 rounds through it. So the first thought was, I didn't really, have a thought because I was brain dead at the moment. But I posted it to the other guys, and the general consensus was pretty much similar to what we came up with for the other issue, where it was from a couple weeks ago that Travis brought up, is, get the head spacing checked, or there is a possibility it was a piece of overworked brass. That is what Matt's going with for the thought, because of how many rounds he's run through this and how many rounds he's run through after clearing the malfunction without any issues. But your mileage may vary. But anytime you have a malfunction, try and grab that brass if you can. The brass is kind of the forensics piece in this whole game. You can kind of look at the brass and you can figure out a lot of what went wrong with just figuring out where the damage is to the brass, or, you know, marks here, there, everywhere, that type of thing. So just wanted to bring that up. Like Travis says, it's not a matter of if, but when.
Yeah, the guy that it was the exact same situation, 3-gun shooting, exactly just like you described. So Saturday, I was hoping that guy was going to be at the match, and unfortunately, he didn't come. Our range master brought a no-go gauge, so I was hoping to put that in his rifle and try to figure out what was going on.
Yeah, and that was the same thought I had. I mean, it's not like I can conclusively say just from a picture in a scenario that's definitely headspace and, you know, skip all other checks. But
Right.
My thought process is more of when I start seeing that and it happens on a weapon that has a lot of rounds through the barrel, or a brand new built rifle, my immediate thought is let's check the headspace before we start, chasing windmills. Let's make sure the headspace is good, because if that's not good, nothing else you're going to figure out is going to fix that problem.
Right. Yeah, headspacing is kind of the key.
Yeah, the only difference is your guy had it happen once. The
Right.
guy I'm talking about, it was constant every other round.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of, and I wanted to bring that up also as kind of an example of, just because we say one thing one time doesn't mean it's carte blanche for every situation that appears to be that way. And I think my camera's drunk, so sorry about that. It keeps in and out. But kind of wanted to just make sure that you know that there's different reasons that things can happen, even if it looks the same. So make sure you do your investigation work. That was kind of the point of bringing that up. All right. So now we are going to take it live to North Carolina and the oldest man on the face of the planet to talk about the 40 short and weak. Oh, I mean 40 Smith & Wesson.
Mike's only slamming my cartridge because he knows it's my favorite self-defense cartridge.
Hey, that's what my carry gun is. So it gives me even more reason to give you crap.
There you go. There you go. And I wouldn't have a 9mm.
Well,
Not from. Yeah, I mean, you know, sure, it's better than a sharp stick in the eye. That's for sure. When it comes to self-defense.
I thought you still used a musket or a cutlass for self-defense weapon, Jim.
I'll tell you what. Edged weapons. You got to those are nasty. And I'm gonna tell you, they are weapons. They are covered by the Second Amendment too.
Yep. That's why knife rights exists.
That's right. Anyway, the 40 Smith & Wesson, the unofficial metric annotation for it is 10 by 22 millimeter. The 10 millimeter refers to the bullet diameter, roughly, and the 22 millimeter, I'm sure, refers to the case length. Anyway, it's a rimless pistol cartridge developed jointly by major American manufacturers in Winchester, Smith & Wesson Winchester. And the 40 Smith & Wesson was developed from the ground up as a law enforcement cartridge designed to duplicate the performance of the FBI's reduced velocity 10 millimeter semi-automatic cartridge, which could be retrofitted into medium frame semi-automatic handguns. 9 millimeter frames, in other words, use the 40 case for the 9 millimeter frames, because the 10 millimeter case is way too long. It has to be larger case. Anyway, this is all because of the big FBI shootout that happened where a couple agents got killed, and they had a hell of a firefight down there in Miami in 1986. And because of this, because of the fact that their guns were ineffective, I mean, they had suspects taking bullet hits, and they kept fighting. And these guys were carrying. They outgunned the FBI because they had at least one Mini 14 in that fight, and that would be the crooks had the Mini 14. And they were ready and willing, and they were determined to fight. They weren't going to be taken. Anyway, long story made short, and I think Mike's going to put this in the show notes if need be. But anyway, the cartridge actually debuted a few years after the fight, January 17th, 1990, and along with the new Smith & Wesson 40-06 pistol. The FBI started out with 10 millimeter cartridge and a 45 ACP frame. But the real reason for this 48 short and weak to be developed was simply because the 10 millimeter cartridge in some of the smaller, more diminutive FBI special agents and agents' hands and employees' hands or whatever, and they couldn't handle the recoil, to put it simply. And that's where I'll leave it. I'm not going to say anything more about that. But anyway, the point is they wanted to develop a new cartridge, a little bit weaker, to tame it down for this more diminutive people that needed to carry a gun. And that's it. That's pretty much it. I know I've really highly over-summarized it, but it's my favorite self-defense cartridge. The guys would give me grief about it just because they like to give me grief. But compared to the 9 millimeter to the 45, to me, the 40 fills a hole in the middle of both. I've shot 10 millimeter, and it's basically like shooting a semi-automatic 357 Magnum. It's not bad, but it's a little bit more than really what I want to carry, unless I'm carrying something as massive as a 1911. I like my SR40C. It's got a steel slide, steel frame with steel inserts in the polymer frame. I like it because it's lighter and smaller, and the cartridge doesn't overwhelm the frame. And I shoot my Glock 22, no problem at all, but the gun is massive, so it's similar to a 1911. And I don't know, I just like the cartridge. I reload for it. I've got more 40 S&W brass than most people ever thought of, and a lot of it was given to me. I bought some of it, and it's what you get when you wind up being friends with deputy sheriffs that run ranges. You know what I mean? Hey, Jim, we got some brass here we got to get rid of. It's trash. Okay, well, it's trash. Send it. I'll come and get it. Don't send it. I'll come and get it. But anyway, so if you want to read it, Mike, if you would put all this in the show notes, if you want to read the actual history, I believe Travis located this information right out of Wikipedia.
Yeah, this has been a huge case study for all sorts of things, tactics. This is one of the things that truly led to the issuance of, shall we say, heavy weaponry in every squad car, or in FBI vehicles, whatever the case may be. This is kind of where the shotguns for everybody and having them a little more accessible came to be. But more importantly, this is really where the AR-15 started coming prevalent, and then shortly thereafter, the M16, when the U.S. government started giving or selling cheaply M16s to law enforcement. That was kind of the big, there's just, there's lots of different things that they learned from this. One of the things that seemed to not get noticed as much is the fact that the jackasses were wearing body armor of sorts. So most of the body shots were absorbed, especially from the 38s to 357s. There was one law enforcement official that was carrying a 9mm, but 9mm then isn't 9mm now.
Exactly.
9mm then is like a 32 ACP now, honestly. The 9mm cartridge, especially out of this, has come so far. And yes, we give people crap. I have no problems carrying a 9 either. My pocket carry is a 9 when I need to be a little more inconspicuous. So, I love carrying my 40, and I have no problems carrying 9 either. So, in fact, sometimes 9's better because you can carry more for the same weight. So, and you're getting, with most of your modern cartridges, you're getting similar performance out of a 9 that you are out of a 40. Yes, there's a little bit more energy typically, but especially with some of the self-defense loads, they're, using the old adage of speed kills and getting the 9s moving even faster. So, and that kind of makes up the difference in the mass. So.
It's also worth pointing out, though, that not just raw energy, but when you start looking at like terminal ballistics, you can have the hottest 40 cal you want with the wrong bullet, and it's not going to have the terminal ballistics you want to knock the fight out of a person, a violent individual.
Exactly.
You have a 9 that expands 50 to 75% with 1,000 foot per second muzzle velocity, and it will put a hurt on somebody. I think that's what I've been pointing out for the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Bullet design has come so far in the last 20 years. It has, in my opinion, it has completely leveled the playing field between the popular self-defense calibers, but it's nowhere near as lopsided as it used to be.
No. And in that vein, the RIP is not a quality self-defense load. Go look at the tests. I am not saying anything that hundreds of tests haven't proven. So we won't go down the rabbit hole of loading your own, because that's a personal opinion. There's plenty of stuff out there if you want to load your own. If you don't want to load your own, don't load your own. I don't really care either way, personally. Anyway, so that's the kind of the history of how the 40 Smith & Wesson came into being. And yeah, it does have a bit more jump than the 9, depending on the firearm. Now, Jim and I both carry a Ruger SR series. They're a little heavier. They're not the P series by any means. But it takes it takes definitely up a lot of the recoil that you may get shooting some of the lighter polymers. So that's kind of
absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. I totally agree. Because the thing is, with my G22, I think the actual G22 itself, it's a full-size gun, but I think it's actually lighter than the SR40.
Well, you've got the compact.
The frame.
Yeah, I think it's lighter than the SR40C. And we can look at that later.
Yeah.
So anyway. But that does take into completely into difference. So, well, that's no fun. Okay, so that's 645. Whoops, not SRT. Damn it. I hate this. Anyway. There we go. So weight with empty magazine is 24.2 on the SR40C.
Pound and a half.
And the where's the weights? Weight with an empty magazine on a G22 4th gen is 25.5.
Must be borax then. compared to the center line of the hand.
So yeah, the Glock weighs more empty.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely could be something.
Because it's far more comfortable to shoot that SR40C with full loads than it is to shoot that G22.
Oh yeah, that's one of the reasons I went with it. So, but yeah, you have to make your own personal choice what you're going to carry, because you have to be able to shoot it. That's the thing. That's the point of carrying them. So, take some time, spend some time at a range that rents them. That's the best thing I can tell you. So,
Well, Mike, I'll tell you, that's exactly why I bought the SR40C, is because I love the way it put itself in my hand. It was like a lover's caress. Come on now. I was like, come on, Jim, take me home.
mm-hmm.
It took me 3 months, but I got her home.
Yep. All right. So tonight we're going to continue on from last week, where we were going through how to set up the Dillon 550 for reloading, and we did it as a single stage. And when we did it kind of differently. So I did not get another die this week. I didn't have time, but we're going to show you how to set up for flaring anyway.
Mike, my question is, are you going to be flaring through the powder measure, or are you going to be flaring through the...
That's what we're going to teach people how to do tonight.
Okay, and are we also going to adjust powder charge?
Yep.
Good.
This is what I'm doing right now, is I am taking out this flare die so we don't have any issues.
Hey, Mike, could you adjust your camera?
Yeah,
so we can see what you're doing.
Yep. So what I did is I just took out the flare die from last week, because we're going to show how to do the flaring with this. And for those of you who are wondering what this is, it is the powder thrower for the Dillon. And this little beast here is what actually does the flaring.
Don't slap your camera with that. You might break it. It worked. Believe it or not, that sudden movement got the camera's attention.
Yep, it did. So, anyway. Whatever.
Yeah, anyway.
One of these days I'll get a fancy background for this crap. And yeah. So
there you go. That's better. That's better.
Yeah. Anyway, so what that is that's the powder. It also...
Hey, Mike, before you put that together, would you kindly take a fired case and drop that into the mouth of that expander into the mouth of the fired case, just so people I can see what we're doing, if it fits. That's what we're doing, guys. That's there. Thank you, Mike. That's excellent. That's what we're doing. We're going to wind up using that little funnel shaped guy to expand that case mouth slightly to accept the projectiles Mike is going to be reloading soon.
Yep. And at the same time, we're going to show you how to fill the powder hopper and then set up your powder charge. Hence the RCBS scale. All right. So what do I do?
Well, do you have a resized and primed case?
Nope, not yet.
Okay. Would you kindly provide a few of those? Do you also happen to have your loading block handy?
Yep.
Okay, because you're going to need it if you do it my way, you'll need about 10 cases. If you're going to do it just one individually, you only need 2 or 3.
Mike, you might want to lock the camera on the press too.
Yeah, I will. Because I've noticed it switches every time. I just noticed that.
Yeah, if you would drop it down to center the press in the center of the camera's field of vision, it would help.
Well, what he's talking about is making sure that goes. Let's see here. That look good, guys?
Yes.
All right. So just to show you one thing, Remember how we were talking about bullet seating, and if you don't have it done right?
Is that a Wildcat?
That's a 250. It's supposed to be a 257 Weatherby, although it's not supposed to have a flat shoulder. So, just wanted to show everybody that. Loading block.
Excellent.
So now, what I'm going to do is I am going to, by the way, in case everybody's wondering why this is kind of wobbly, this is made to be on a larger piece of wood than it is, because this has to have a certain gap for it to drop.
Right.
Do that. So now one thing you'll notice is now it spins pretty easy because it picked up the primer. So the primer's not there fighting. So up, desize, or resize and deprime, back down, push it forward to prime it, and then rotate it all the way around. Index it all the way around.
Right. Mike is doing what I asked him to. I'm just do 3 for now, Mike.
Okay.
Mike is doing what I asked him to provide a few resized and primed cases.
All right. We got 3.
All right. Show me the fresh primer, Mike. I've never seen one.
Liar.
Yay. You got some dirt on your seating pin.
Yes, I noticed.
Yeah, it probably looks like it might have been powder flakes. But folks, it goes to show you the sensitivity of that primer cup, because it's just a kernel of powder that Mike had, or a speck of dirt or something. That goes to show you how thin and sensitive that primer is.
Yep.
A flake of gunpowder. Is it pistol powder, Mike, or is it rifle powder? Can you tell?
Probably pistol.
Okay. So the point is, that's how thin and sensitive those primers are. People talk about hard primers. Well, those cases that or those primers Mike uses certainly aren't.
All right. So now, what's next?
Okay. Well, before you put any of those prime cases in there, you might want to put your powder hopper back on top.
Don't I need to set the die first?
You're going to. That's how you set the die.
All right. So I put my powder hopper on top.
Right.
Set it down.
Make sure it goes seats all the way down.
Yep.
And if you would, kindly tighten up those 2 socket head cap screws that hold that whole assembly together. Yeah, that's right. You've got to put that safety gear, that follow me thing. I forget what the hell Dillon calls it.
Anyway.
That looks awfully high.
Well, it is, because the die's probably a couple.
It's probably at least a quarter inch too high, but that's okay. We can get that, because when you turn you're not going to secure it. You're just going to close those socket head cap screws up so that you can turn that inside of that.
Yep.
Okay. Now, if you would, put that freshly primed case underneath of that powder hopper. Powder measure. That's what I'm trying to say. There's where a little can of compressed air comes in real handy, guys. Is right there on that shell plate. Okay, Mike's looks like he's got the case under there. If you would, Mike, run your case up. And, okay, you're actually in contact with the powder measure. I saw something move. Part of the linkage move. But I bet you didn't expand that case mouth at all.
It didn't. It moved the whole entire thing. So it moved the die and everything. So that's what you saw.
Okay, the die itself is moving, huh?
Yeah, it moved the whole body. So it hit that powder funnel or whatever you want to call it.
Right, that's exactly what it is. It's powder funnel.
So,
all right, well, pull the ram back up, or down rather. Let the ram down, and then start screwing that die body down some so that you can get a little pressure into that case mouth. The die body is a part that the powder measure actually it fits onto, guys.
and so when you're doing this, You actually have to hold the powder measure up
That's right.
so it spins freely.
That's right. That's what the socket-head cap screws are. You didn't notice it, but in the die body, the Mike is actually threading into the. Slow down, Mike. Let's check to see if you've got it far enough. Is your powder measure all fully deployed?
Nope.
Okay. Did you expand that case mouth at all?
Maybe.
You might be wise to check.
I would say probably, since the it's pushing the whole.
Yeah,
thing.
because you've dropped it down at least 3 threads. That's a pretty good long way. What he's flicking up and down is that powder funnel because it sits inside of that loosely. But it's also what activates. He pitched himself. I've done it too. But anyway, what that linkage I was talking about that attaches to the shell platform is what pulls the powder measure back down. Anyway, so if you would, Mike, let's check that case and see what kind of expansion you got on it.
Sure.
If you did expand it. Jason, feel free to take over, buddy, if you want to. I guess Jason doesn't want to. Go ahead.
You're doing fine, Jim. I'll let you go.
You're Mr. Talkative. Come on, buddy. Back me up.
I didn't start drinking early enough. I'm not talkative yet.
Well, at least you're honest, you bum.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know, you've always been honest with me.
Or have I?
Yeah, well, I don't know. This is iced tea, and iced tea it'll stay. I don't drink on the podcast no more. Back to you, Mike.
All right.
Did you get any expansion?
Nope.
Good. Okay, then now I would suggest you try it only a half a turn at a time rather than just threading it down. What we're doing, folks, is we're forcing the die body to go into the press more, which in turn allows the powder funnel to drop more. And when Mike maximizes it, it's going to wind up putting a little pressure on the case mouth. You just resized that case and knocked out a fresh primer, Mike.
Yep. That was dumb.
Well, he also wants to be sure that he cycles that powder hopper completely, the drop.
Absolutely, Jason.
So, as you can see, I did successfully clean off the primer seeder, though, because, yeah, you suck. I hate you, you stupid-ass camera. Anyway, as you can kind of see, even though it won't focus.
There you
Yeah, it came up.
Anyway.
It was nice and clean.
Yeah. So
that's how sensitive those primers are, guys.
Yep.
Anyway, Mike, go ahead and keep adjusting that until you get a little bit of expansion, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Notice that powder measure goes up, fully deploys. Once Mike maximizes that powder charge drop, that powder bar, once he fully extends that, then he's going to start getting a little more pressure driven into the mouth of that case.
A little bit.
How much did you get, buddy?
3,000s. 2,000s.
You want to check it with a bullet fit?
Sure.
Baby steps. When you're setting up like this, it's just baby steps, guys.
Nope.
Okay, good, Mike. Thank you, sir. Yep, he has to turn the die body inside of the powder measure.
Now, one of the things I don't have connected, because this is not sitting down far enough to connect it, is this rod back here, the return rod. So everybody sees this. This return rod is supposed to be connected into that, but there is no way it will do that with the way this is set up right now, because it will not, the way it's all set up, it won't actually allow it to come down. So what I have to do is get this all set, and then I can adjust that so that it will pull it down like it's supposed to. Basically what it does is it puts the powder hopper back to where it was supposed to be.
Right. Returns the powder hopper to battery.
You and your fancy $5 words. So yeah, just a matter of up and down, up and down, up and down. Jim, don't you have any stories from when the world was cooling to tell all the kids while we're talking about this?
I'm falling asleep. I've already had a 15-hour day.
You're supposed to be retired. You're not supposed to do that. So I have powder in the case now.
Well, you've got to, if it may be a full charge, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Probably not, considering the hopper's mostly empty.
Oh, that's right. You need to wipe that out with used dryer sheets.
Yeah, I don't have any. I don't use dryer sheets, so therefore I don't have any used dryer sheets. But anyway.
But you're seeing a little bit of progress on that case mouth expanding?
Not really. Trying to get it so I can actually turn. I don't even want to know.
You're right, you don't. Travis caught me and Jason off guard.
Yeah. That's good, Travis. Keep them paying attention. Wake up. Well, that's no fun.
Uh-oh.
It was stuck. Why would it be stuck?
Because you've expanded that case mouth some.
Yep. Not much, though.
What I used to do with that when I was running into trouble like that and I'd use my cast bullets is I would occasionally rub my fingers with the Lee tumble lube on the bullet. I pick it up on my fingers and I just take and rub my finger on that powder funnel, the exterior of that powder funnel. It's amazing how long that lubrication lasts.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Mike got his case stuck on.
And we're good.
Okay, Mike, if you would pull that case out and let's see what the bullet looks like sitting in the open mouth. 15, 20 cases, Travis. Very good. It's not seated, but it's enough to get the things.
Bye-bye, bullet.
Anyway, it's enough to get the bullet started, squarely started.
Yes, it is. Next.
All right. Well, you've got the bullets. You've got the case mouth expanded.
Uh-huh.
So what you need to do is you need to set the powder measure now.
Yep.
And I'm not sure what your powder charge is going to be because I don't even know what powder you're using. If you use tight group, I don't have a clue because I've never used this stuff.
Well, this is actually already set for tight group,
Mhm.
honestly. So I've got
Okay, well, Mike, if you would
But-
point your finger on the adjustment nut, the bolt, the head of the bolt that's used. There's a adjustable cavity in there, folks. Mike, do you have your other powder bar?
I couldn't tell you where it is. It's in
Okay, but anyway, there's a
Do you want me to grab one, Jim?
Yes,
Yeah, that
please,
one
Travis.
So now what I'm doing, because this is a different set than it was before, is I'm tweaking this by turning it down a bit. So then run the ram up a little bit, and then you just pull the ram back down on it, and it'll shoot this white grommet back into there.
Hold on, Mike.
So
Travis, unmute your microphone, please.
hang on.
Yeah, Mike, if you would unlock the camera so Travis can speak.
There you go, Travis.
Or
Okay, so right there's the adjustment bar.
right now that
And you can see
cavity.
this cavity right there is what Jim's
Right there.
talking about. It's connected. If you look, it's connected to a adjustment screw right there.
Mm-hmm.
So you turn it and it opens or closes
That cavity
this
right
cavity right there.
there. Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. And so Mike doesn't want to adjust it because he knows he's already set, but we wanted to show you how we go about adjusting it. And the funny thing is,
That's that nut that he was just showing you.
mhm,
That cavity is actually in here. And theoretically, I could pull that charge bar out and show you it all, but that goes to that don't screw with it because it's set mantra.
And Mike, I guess it's good to point out for a new guy, there are two different bars.
Yes, there is.
absolutely. Once for
Pistol
rifle.
and rifle.
That's right.
So the one is much bigger cavity,
Mm-hmm.
and you will never get it down to your pistol loads if you're trying to use this one.
For the sake of argument, though, what's the practical limit of the pistol bar? Like on a max end, what'll it throw?
Not sure. Never tried.
44 Magnum. I've loaded for lots of 44 Magnum on it.
I'm just curious because I mean, like, I have the same two options in my RCBS powder throw, and I keep using the small one even for like 3-way Winchester. I have no issue throwing 40, 50 grains at a time. So
Right.
Yeah, with this pistol one, I think I've gotten up to 20 something with it.
That sounds about right, Travis, because I think it's like 24 grains of 24, 25 grains of 2400. There's a limit, but it also varies on the powder. If you're using a 2400 is a bit of a small pellet powder, whereas if you use a ball powder, you can go to get a lot more weight.
yeah, density of powder will vary. I was just curious because I mean, if it was one of those things where you could potentially load like 5.56 with it, that might give you a little bit more kind of resolution than using the smaller cavity in the larger bar. That's why I
don't
asked.
think. Well, the larger bar can adjust down to fit 5.56, but I don't think the smaller bar and the smaller cavity will adjust up to 5.56.
But that's why I brought it up. Anyway,
I don't
Give me a
remember,
sidebar,
to
y'all.
tell you the truth, because it's been too damn long. But last time I know I've loaded 5.56 on my Dillon 550, but I think I did it with a larger charge bar. Okay, Mike, let's continue.
Sad monkey.
You might want to lock camera again.
Empty bottle. Sad monkey.
All right, there you go.
Ooh.
Can you
Anyway,
aim, Mike? Can you aim your camera down a little bit again, please?
Yep. I was just showing you filling the powder hopper.
Okay, thank you.
I know for a fact you've got more of that, Mike.
Yeah, everybody knows. Just a couple pounds. Just a couple pounds. See, gang, as reloaders, when you find a powder you like and you find it's available when it hasn't been, you get as much as you possibly can, even if that means putting a little on the credit card. And remember, Uncle Mikey says sometimes, especially when buying powder, it's better to say, sorry, dear, than may I.
Mike,
also-
do you want me to show you my shelf?
Nope.
Nope.
I would also point out, I don't know if any of y'all can attest to this, but I don't think I've ever bought powder and then found it like substantially cheaper
No.
anytime in the near future.
Nope.
I mean, Jim and Jason, no, not poking at y'all's age or anything, but y'all been buying gunpowder a lot longer than I've been, and I'd be willing to bet y'all have bought gunpowder a lot cheaper than you can these days.
I screamed bloody murder when it went up to $12 a pound.
$12 a pound. That's cute.
I started out buying it at $9.99.
How much was
Yeah.
gas when powder was $12.99, Jim?
A dime.
No, not quite a dime. About 75 cents a gallon.
And
The
movies
first-
were a dime and popcorn was a nickel.
The
Yeah.
first pound of powder I bought, I think, was $28, and I didn't think that was unreasonable. Sign of the times.
Yep.
All right. So anyway, the point is, when Mike activates all that, that bar moves outward towards the black knob, and it drops a measured charge of powder into the case. Now, what we're talking about is we're talking about throwing charges and seating a bullet. That's what you do in a progressive press. Whereas a lot of the purists and a lot of the rifle shooters, we all take and measure our charge. Then we measure a little bit light. We trickle a couple kernels into the charge and we put it into the rifle. While we're weighing it, we put it all in the rifle. But in a progressive machine, doesn't matter if it's rifle or pistol ammo, you can take your time and you can weigh every charge, but you know what? You put a lot more steps into reloading the ammo than that machine was designed for. That machine will produce a loaded round with every pull of the handle.
Yep.
But you're not going to be measuring charges. And statistically, they have found that there's really not a whole lot. Even the bench resters, they don't piddle too much when they're in the field or when they're on the range shooting. They don't piddle around with weighing charges. For one thing, they're a lot of times if they're shooting any kind of long distance, they're outside, and their scales like Mike's 505 right there. It's a beam scale. Those things can't stand to be in the wind. They just vary and float and so on and so forth. So the point is, measured charges have been found to be reliably accurate. Not necessarily precise as a lot of people want, but certainly accurate enough for safety reasons. Look at that. Mike just extended that whole little charge bar and dropped a charge of powder into his case. Okay, Mike, let's see the powder in your case if you don't mind, sir.
Yep. Well, I guess I can get it out without dropping it. All right. So, this is the point where I grab a lighter to show you all the inside of the case.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. That's close enough. It's a wonder you haven't lost a charge.
Practice.
No, what I mean is like you turned it level and the stuff didn't fall out of the case mouth.
Practice.
Anyway, so right there is where Mike is ready to seat a bullet.
Yeah, so I'm going to rotate it 2 stations. And I'm going to take it about it.
Now, the thing is, he's doing this one round at a time. Now, what I do when I set up my powder measure on my Dillon is I'll take and actually set 10 cases in a charge block or the loading block, and I will charge 10 cases. I will toss all 10 cases into my powder pan. Hey, he got himself a finished round. Yay, 9mm. But I'll take and drop all 10 charges in my pan, and I'm weigh that. And statistically speaking, if I want 10.9 grains, I should have 19 grains when I drop 10 rounds, right?
Yep.
Well, there you go. Then that way I know I'm shooting 10.9 grains or dropping 10.9 grains. Okay, Mike is about to do a plunk test, I hope.
One of the cool things about having an optic that's mounted properly on your handgun. Heater cocking slide. So what I did, magazine's right here. Drop it. Works the action. You can't work it too much, gang. Make sure it's empty. So, and every single one of these little things goes differently. Most of them you have to pull the stupid trigger though. So this one here is one of my favorite handguns that I own. Mechanic TP9SF. Trigger is awesome. Buttery.
Hey, Mike, before you put that away, could you show us that really cool Reloading podcast etching on that?
Yes, I will. And the awesome machine work that was done by J&L Machining.
Yeah, but that little etching, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. So
And
right now I want to set this off to the side. I don't care about this right now. This is what I want. So
Good.
I'll take that round that I just made.
Drop it.
Grab
Don't
it.
put it. Look at that. Perfect headspace.
Hey, I might know what I'm doing. Holy crap. Here's a factory round. Hey, look at there. And then, bye-bye. Here's our dummy round from last week. Dummy round, see?
Perfect headspace. Yep. No primer, no powder.
Fabulous. Dummy rounds, what you should be testing everything with first. Don't test them with a live round first. All right. So, what Travis wanted me to show you. This this was a nice handgun before I sent it off to get machining and everything done. I sent it off to one of Travis's friends, J&L Machining. And so he put some work into the slide. And then he put serrations up front for gripping. And then he made a mount for this Vortex. But my absolute favorite thing that they did while they had it out there is
Look at that. Hold it up a little higher, Mike. They're perfect. Just don't move. Reloading podcast.
Is laser engraved.
yeah, just how small that is and the detail on it. The camera's not even doing justice.
You sound like you've actually seen it firsthand, Travis.
No, I had that pistol. Yeah, it was right there. Perfect. Look at that.
Yep. And there's pictures on our my personal Instagram page about this, and also the Reloading Podcast Instagram page.
Yeah. Do you see that little press in there, Jim? Look at the detail on there. I think there's a cartridge, right?
Yep.
Yep. Look at that.
So
It won't let us stay locked on Mike long enough. I saw it, but I didn't get the chance to see the detail.
yeah,
That's all right.
Heady enough. So I wonder. Here, I got an idea. Move it. Let's try this.
The thumbnails are covering it up, Mike. The Sanic looks nice.
Mm-hmm.
Move this. Put your finger on the slide and move. Just roll it, Mike. Maybe the camera will pick it up because it's focused on that knob or the die body back here. There. Nope. All right. Whatever.
Yeah.
You could see it on YouTube, Mike. It was.
Yeah.
Good.
Whatever.
Yeah, that turned out beautiful.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
The Reloading Podcast logo. Who created that, Mike?
Ryan Cross of Hunter of Designs.
As in Ryan Cross of Patriot Patch Company.
Yes. So he's done a bunch of the artwork for the network. All right, folks. That's going to pretty much wrap up tonight because we went really long last week, so we'll make this one a little shorter. But yeah, if you want to know more about the work that was done on this and where I got it done and all that details, shoot me a message or hit Travis up and we can get you those information. Just an amazing job.
Or go to J&L Machining on Instagram.
That's even better. And you can see a lot of the other work that they did. Just amazing, talented people. So
how's that red dot working out for you, Mike?
Well, you know, amazingly enough, there's this thing called Loctite. I mean, who knew? But if you put Loctite on the screws, then the actual optic stays where it's supposed to, and it works. It's amazing.
I've gone through 3 of them already, though.
Oh, I had 200 rounds through it when it was loose. I've got another 300 rounds through it now and don't have any problems. So
I had the glass completely fall out of one.
yeah, I remember you saying that. No, this is pretty solid. So
Lifetime warranty.
yep, Vortex Viper. So it's great. And as you can see, I don't really baby it because, you know. And yes, that has been dropped off the bench by one of my sons. So. Anyway. All right.
Speak up, Travis. The camera won't
there we
switch
go.
to you.
There we go. There's another
There you go.
custom slide work.
Blue anodizing.
No,
Turquoise
that's,
blue.
no, that's just camera, I guess. It's just raw aluminum.
Nice.
Oh, it's white metal? Wow, it looks
Yep.
blue.
Yep.
But at least I saw the Vortex Viper logo on there.
Yep. So.
There's another one.
It does take a bit getting used to. I'll be honest with that, because your point of aim changes. With sights, you used to, especially if you've done a lot of shooting, you're used to be able to snap it up. Boom, they're right there. Red dot, it's a little different on the hold and everything. So it does take some getting used to. But this doesn't have co-witnessing sights because it's not a carry gun; it's a fun gun. It's been modified for competition a little bit. So, you know, that's, you know, one of the reasons I had the optic put on it in the first place.
Yeah, I highly recommend getting the suppressor height sights on your pistol if you go with the red dot.
Yep. And double check with the person if you're going to get somebody to actually put like this where I had the slide work done. Double check with the person to make sure that they're going to be able to keep the rear sight. This one I knew he wasn't going to because, you know, California sucks and it's got the loaded chamber indicator, which I was fine with because I'm not planning on doing anything else with it. So, but there are other options too. You can do. This is one for, who's this for? Oh, this is for my something I can use for my LC9. It's a simple little pick rail. You pop out the rear sight, drift out the rear sight, and it's a dovetail mount. So you can do little stuff like that. But there is so many companies out there making mounting brackets now for these where you can actually put them on there. And you can get rid of, you know, you can have different things done to keep your regular sights to co-witness. So I definitely recommend it if you're going to be using it for carry. Red dots are handy, but like anything else, they're electronic. They can fail. And that's the last thing you need in the middle of a firefight is your optic to go down. And now you're trying to take decent shots and you don't have any aiming spot.
You just answered my question.
What's that?
Iron sights on a carry gun or optics on a carry gun?
Both. So
I fervently disagree, but that's my opinion.
right. So it's just like some people can't see putting a laser on a carry gun or night sights on a carry gun. So, you know, it's what you train with, what you get better with.
Sure.
Some of it. And we want to just take time to thank everybody that tunes in every week, sends us mail at reelingpodcast@gmail.com, and I do have quite a bit. So we'll cover some of that next week. And just want to thank everybody that. Sorry, I just made the mistake of looking at the chat. The host chat. Hi, Rex.
Do you see what happens when you let us run wild without supervision?
Yeah, I noticed Kenny joined us too. Hi, Kenny Loftus. So, anyway, good grief, kids. And wanted to take time to thank everybody for all the feedback that we get, all the people that show up in the live chat. So we got awesome comments in the live chat. It's a lot of fun. If you watch the YouTube videos, you can see all the chat as it's going. So that's a cool feature if you go back and watch our YouTube videos. YouTube videos are unedited, so you get all the dead air and all the stupid stuff that happens and everything else, just as a forewarning. I want to take time to thank everybody who just continues to promote the show and who's part of the Facebook community and gives us feedback there, who's part of the gun groupie community, small as it is. Thanks for everything there. I want to thank all the Patreons. And your patches should be in the mail soon from Jake because they just came in. So just to let you all know, all the Patreons are going to get the Cycle of Life patch that Jake's just releasing. So just so you know, we do have some giveaways in the works coming up. We don't have all the details nailed down, but we will be announcing some regular giveaways. A couple of vendors have stepped up and have given us some products, and then, you know, so we'll do some stuff with that. And we'll give you the details when we get ready to launch that. So, anything else? Anybody shout outs? Anybody?
Yep, I got one.
Okay.
Larry Cunningham, thank you. Appreciate what you said in the Reloading Podcast group. He's put up a posting where somebody in Special Forces took out an ISIS sniper or an ISIS leader at 1.5 miles with a 50 cal.
Yeah, Modus to the rescue.
Amen. At 1.5 miles.
Yep. So
gotta love Modus. Carlos Hathcock was the guy that did it first. I've actually shaken hands with that guy.
I'm jealous.
He passed away.
You probably babysitted him when he was a baby.
No. Well, I'll tell you what, when I met him, you could tell he had been mangled. You could tell he had been injured badly.
Yeah. He
got burned up real bad.
Yeah.
Definitely put everything above and beyond. So
Semper Fi, Carlos. Semper Fi, Gunny.
all right, folks. Thanks, everybody. If you're shopping Brownell's Amazon, swing by the firearms or radio.tv webpage, hit the Amazon and Brownell's links. Doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does help out the network. I just can't say thank you enough to the Patreons. I'm finally, you know, we're going to be giving some of the stuff away soon, including that lovely 505 scale that everybody was looking at tonight. That's part of the giveaway. So I've got a couple other scales. I'm going to start to get some testing and then shoot some video, and then I will give them away before long before I do all the editing, because video editing is even more tedious than audio editing. So, but I appreciate all the compliments on the audio, and if you've still got comments, let us know. It's definitely a lot better than it has been in a long time. So we're grateful that we've been able to figure out most of the issues. So thanks everybody for hanging with us. And just remember, keep your brass shiny. You know what? Everybody's been looking at Travis for like the last 5 minutes. So let's try that again. Keep your brass shiny.
And keep your powder dry.
It's not a matter of if, but when.
Buy them cheap and stack them deep.
And squeeze. Don't yank that trigger.
Squeeze it. Squeeze it. Thanks, everybody.